This news. Up next, it's Truth or Fake. Catalina Marchand Abreu is here in studio. Catalina, in tonight's edition, it's been making headlines this week. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket. Questions remain, though, about the flight's environmental cost. Tell us more.
That's right, Sharon. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket successfully launched its first all-female space flight on Monday, a mission that marks a milestone, the first all-female space flight since 1963. The 6 women on board included pop star Katy Perry, Bezos' fiancée Lauren Sanchez, journalist Gayle King, Aisha Bowe, Karen Flynn, and NASA scientist Amanda Nguyen. They took off on the Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket, their fully reusable suborbital launch vehicle developed especially for space tourism. Following the nearly 11-minute trip to the boundary of space, Katy Perry said that the mission was all for the benefit of the Earth. Jeff Bezos also claims that his New Shepard rocket is supposedly green and has no carbon emissions. If we go to their website, the Blue Origin website says the New Shepard's engine is fueled by highly efficient liquid oxygen and hydrogen, and that during the flight, the only byproduct of New Shepard's engine combustion is water vapor. However, no carbon emissions during the flight. So while the mission is symbolically significant, questions do remain about the environmental cost of space tourism. Sharon.
So truth or fake then, Catalina, does the rocket actually have no carbon emission?
No, in fact, the whole flight doesn't quite have the green credentials that Bezos claims it does. As pointed out by BBC environmental expert Victoria Gill, it is not possible for the rocket to only emit water vapor. One atmospheric chemist told the outlet how anything that combusts at a high temperature, like a rocket launch, converts nitrogen in the atmosphere into harmful nitrogen oxide gases that can eventually damage the ozone layer. As experts also point out that water vapor itself is not completely harmless. It's actually considered a greenhouse gas and shouldn't be in the upper layers of the atmosphere. Nevertheless, there are others that argue that Bezos' New Shepard is actually fairly clean compared to other launch vehicles, since the New Shepard actually cuts off its engine relatively early in the flight. Very little water will make its way up high to stay in the atmosphere. So the main concern, in fact, is when it comes to rocket flights, are the small particles called soot, for example, pollutants that result from rocket launches that, according to a 2022 University College London study, soot when up in the atmosphere have their warming effects that are significantly amplified up to 500 times greater than at ground level. So the verdict, these suborbital rocket launches do have lower direct emissions than others. However, it is not free from any type of environmental cost.
Finally, Catalina, not everyone was impressed by the Blue Origin all-female rocket launch. Tell us more about that.
That's right. The stunt did draw criticism from a number of female celebrities regarding actually the cost of the flight. Model Emily Ratajkowski says, look how many resources actually went into putting all these women into space, and for what? The launch was also met with countless memes. Actress Olivia Wilde shared one of them on her Instagram with the added caption, "Billions of dollars bought some good memes, I guess," while actress Olivia Munn also questioned the price of this space trip, calling it a bit gluttonous, saying so much money to go into space while there's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs in the United States. A valid point. The company doesn't actually publicly list its flight prices. Blue Origin actually only discloses that $150,000 are required as a deposit to secure a seat in this flight, as previous auctions for seats on Blue Origin flights have actually reached $28 million. However, it seems that some of the women on board didn't have to pay these orbital sums and actually went on the journey for free. Blue Origin spokesperson Bill Kirkos told CNN that some passengers, no names, were flying free of charge while others were not, as the company declined to say who actually paid their way.
Catalina, thanks so much for all of that. Catalina joining us there with this evening's Truth or Fake. Well, do stay with us. We'll be right back with more world news.